Good morning, guys. Morning, morning. Happy Tuesday. I've got my coffee. All right, let me just make sure my computer is on silent, and let me share this to my business pages. Welcome, guys. When you're coming on, say hi. That would be amazing. Please. It's like hot in my apartment, which is funny because I'm always freezing, right? I'm not wearing a hat today. If you're coming on, say hi. Hi. Thank you. At least somebody says hi. All right. I'll wait a couple more minutes. I just shared to my business pages. I forgot yesterday to put my Calendly link in the comments, so I'll do that tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on. This is my favorite topic, and I know I say that all the time, but all these topics are my super fave, but because I love talking about it all, right? Feelings. Hey, good morning, Jacob. Forgiveness. God, oh my God, it is a hot button issue. It is something we all have to encounter in our lives at some point. Right? Because we're all human beings having a human experience. We're all going to hurt people. I've hurt people. People have hurt me. It is something that we cannot get around. It is something that we're not taught. We're not taught to deal with our feelings around this. I can see it as a flaw in the system, but I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how I get through it, because I'm actually known for holding a grudge, which I do quotations because I think there's something a little bit different from holding a grudge and taking your time forgiving people. And it looks very differently, right? So I'll kind of go into that and explain it. Maybe I'll start out with that, but because it's really, I don't want to say offensive, but it's really misinformation when somebody says that you're holding a grudge. Like, who's to tell you how long it takes to forgive somebody? Who's to tell you what you're doing behind closed doors to get into the process and doing the practice of actually working on it? So, I mean, it's really kind of irrelevant, but I'll get into it in a minute. Let me introduce myself first. I think there's enough people on. I've waited a little bit, but, and people can watch the replay anyway. My name is Justine Leslie. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm an intuitive coach. I help people get spiritually connected, empower their intuition, and help heal themselves. I do that because I believe everybody has the rights and the ability to live a life of emotional freedom. It's important to me that I get the word out there. It's important to me that people do feel free in their everyday lives, in their love lives, in their personal lives, in their work lives, all those things. I'm also a empath, and I really deal with empathic support. I know what it's like to feel a lot of energy super deeply and be confused and manage emotions and all of those things that come with it. So if you suspect that you might be an empath, please message me, or I am going to put my Calendly link in the comments today, and that's probably a better way to contact me, because I don't know if you were on my live a couple days ago or a couple lives ago, whatever it was, maybe last week. But I checked all of my messages in my Facebook, and I've had messages for years and years, and I just never saw them because I wasn't friends with the person, or whatever the algorithm is with Facebook. I don't know, but there were some people reaching out to me, and I felt really terrible because I wasn't able to respond. I didn't even know that existed. I just realized I'm talking really fast, so bear with me. I'm a New Jerseyan New Yorker, so 1 second while I get a coffee. Okay. And I also do, let me just finish that up, sorry, I also am into different spiritual healing. Spiritual healing is my thing, man. It is my thing. It's the topic today, right? Forgiveness is a spiritual practice, healing practice. So, but I also do crystal healing, and I also do angel card readings. So if you want to book a session with me, let me know. Okay, now that that's done, I feel like I have to introduce every time just in case somebody new comes on and is like, who the hell is this person? What the heck is she doing? So that's why I do it. So, or if you like me and you want to get into contact with me, that's also another reason. But, again, today was another note-taking day, just because I want to be able to get everything out. I think this is a super important topic. Let me start out by saying what I was saying before about, people thinking you're holding a grudge versus taking your time to forgive somebody. So, here's the thing. The topic of this live is why we can't forgive easily, right? And it's not easy, no matter what anybody says. Maybe you can get better at it. Maybe you're the Dalai Lama. I don't really know. But we are all human, and we are experiencing things that are hurtful. We are never... like I said in the beginning, we are never we can achieve emotional freedom, but we are never in the absence of suffering. We can control how much time we're in suffering, but we're never in the absence of it. We're always going to be, there's always going to be something, right? And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying that in this is how we take this on. We need to be prepared. We have to, and I hate using the word realistic because I really feel like I'm not the most realistic person. But to be realistic, yes, it's probably going to happen. Even people that you love, people you think that will never disappoint you, it may be something that may unfold in your life. So this is really applicable to everyone because we experience this as human beings, like I said. And when you are empathic, and for those that are on here that aren't, it is a very, very definition, but the only thing I could say is that you feel things a little tad bit deeper than a lot of other people because of your central nervous system is a little bit more sensitive, I guess is the word. It's a little bit more on edge. So you may be having to deal with that before you can even start getting into the forgiving process, right? Like you have to deal with your emotions. For example, in my life, I had a little bit of PTSD based on something that somebody wronged me about. I had to actually, and to other people that may not be an empathic, maybe they wouldn't have experienced PTSD in that situation, but because my central nervous system is very heightened, very sensitive, that is what my experience was. So I had to actually deal with that first, and then do the healing of the forgiving part after. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, why we can't forgive easily. Number one, you actually may be empathic. Like, you may just take a really, really, really long time to process, because that's what a lot of people do, to process their, that's what a lot of empaths do, and a lot of HSPs, if you're a highly sensitive person, that's the number one difference is that you process your emotions completely differently. You take longer to make a decision. You take longer to fall in love with somebody. That's what it is, right? It's very, it's a gradual process, and the same thing goes with forgiving, right? You might be an HSP or an empath. That's why it's taking you a long time to forgive. Does that make sense? Can I get some hearts if people understand that? And that's okay, right? That's not holding a grudge. People that are not like this are not going to, they're not going to understand that. And, for me, when somebody says that, to me, it's funny because behind the scenes, I'm doing everything that I possibly can to be able to forgive somebody. I'm writing letters and burning it on the new moon. That's my favorite forgiveness practice, by the way. Just writing out how much somebody has hurt you, light it up, and then just watch it burn, and really doing it like on a new moon when you're supposed to have new energy. When it's a time for new energy, it actually, I swear, works so well. I feel a shift the next day. It's pretty amazing. The new moon is amazing, and that's why I want to get into astrology more, because I really believe that a lot of these planetary shifts are a are an opportunity for breakthroughs and shifts for us. So I think it's amazing. But I am doing everything behind the scenes. I'm reading the books. I'm listening to the spiritual teachers. I'm, doing everything that I possibly can to get to a place of forgiveness with this person. And then you have the peanut gallery over here telling you that you're holding a grudge and not working on it, which is so false. And when it comes to things like this, and yes, it may sound like I'm a little salty because I am protective of being an empath and all that stuff, but it's just because people really just don't understand the process that is happening to you. As an empath myself, I tried to say, I process things a little bit differently, and I don't think that people really understand that or want to take the time to understand how you process it. So that might be the number one reason. So, I always see people like forgiving, super easily, like the next day and like all this stuff. And for me, it does not come that easily. So, the next reason why you may not be able to forgive easily is your ego gets in the way, right? It's really funny because last night I was listening to Super Soul Sessions podcast from Oprah, and she had Eckhart Tolle on, who, if you're not familiar with Eckhart Tolle, he's really the spiritual teacher around consciousness and ego, and he really breaks it down in a way where you can really understand it. And he's the one that really calls out the ego as far as the thought processes go, and it's really, really good, and it really, really makes you understand that the ego is not is this false self that you have. We all have it, right? We all have it, including Eckhart. But it's for self-protection, right? Like, the only reason the ego even acts up is because it's trying to protect us, which at the end of the day is like super sweet, but if you think about it, but it's actually false. It's not really how things are. It's not a reality. It's actually a delusion. So this is a delusion here. When you can't forgive somebody based on ego, I can't forgive this person because that means that it's okay that they hurt me. Absolutely not. We forgive based out of love, and we forgive for ourselves. So, ego is just something that can get in the way and kind of stall the process. So that might be something else that is in the way of your forgiveness process. So think about it. I feel like you'll know, like, when a lot of people hear about this ego, they're, people think that ego is like closer a little bit to narcissism, but it's not. Ego is everything that's not love, thoughts, feelings, everything that is on the opposite side of the spectrum on the negative scale is really ego, and it's actually a delusion. So we need to really remember that. The third one, this is my favorite. We may not, I always say things are my favorite. I'm sorry, guys. Love this stuff. I can talk about it all freaking day. The third reason why you may not be able to forgive somebody easily is because you don't know how, right? How many people, hearts, likes, whatever, hands up right over here, don't even know how to start to forgive somebody? Like, I think that's the number one thing. And we bury things, right? We bury things deep, deep inside because it is super painful to even deal with ourselves. So it's something that we put on the back burner. And let me just tell you guys, it is not healthy to bury feelings for a long period of time. Trust me. I know. I've seen it. It will come out eventually, right? The truth will always come out eventually. And that is 100% true. But we don't know how to forgive somebody. I have no idea. And I used to bury it because I just didn't know how to deal with these types of feelings. Resentment, anger, all of these things that come with not forgiving, with, somebody hurting you and non-forgiveness. So, for me, I mentioned some techniques earlier in this live. Like, there are a bunch of things that you can actually do. But I've noticed that there's definitely one that really, really helps me. And it's actually not a process. I mean, yeah, it is a process, but it's actually more of a realization. So, and I'll show you something in a minute, but basically, Listen to this, and I'm going to say it twice, and I'm going to make sure I get it right. Forgiving is letting go of the realization that anything in the past could have been different. I'll say it again. Forgiving is letting go of the realization that anything in the past could be different. What does this mean? This means that we can actually use our thoughts to really break down what happened to us, right? So we are letting go of the realization that what happened to us can actually be any different. So when we are not in a place of forgiveness, we're actually holding on to the event or the action or the behavior that hurt us, and we are harping on it, and we are giving too much attention to it. And the only way that we can get rid of it and take our attention elsewhere, right? Because attention goes where energy flows where attention goes, right? I love that saying. My friend says it all the time. We do not want to continue to keep, because how many people have replayed the situation over and over and over in their head of the betrayal, of the behavior, of the, whatever it is we're trying to forgive somebody about. How many times have we replayed it in our head, and we, for some reason, by the 8th million time, we think that it's going to be a different outcome, right? It's not. And you know how we can change our mindset to kind of release this negative thought pattern? We can actually, this is what I go by, accepting of what is and surrendering to what is. And everybody asks me what I have on my wrist, and I have accept here, accept and then I have surrender. And that's exactly why. Because it is the number one tool to help you in the forgiveness process, is that you need to accept that it has happened to you, and then you have to surrender that it has happened to you. And whether you keep that person in your life is your own personal choice. Whether you continue to have boundaries with that person, whether you don't trust them anymore, that is your choice. But that comes after the forgiveness, right? That is super important, right? Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to everybody, right? And then, the accepting and the surrendering is great, but then I get a lot of questions from people that say, how do I know I forgave somebody? And from my personal opinion, I can, from my personal perspective, I notice that I actually forgive someone based on couple of things, right? Number one, and I just want to point out that this is different for everybody, but I'm, this is my life, and I want to share what helps me. So take it with a grain of salt. Agree, disagree, it's up to you. Number one, this is the number one reason. I think you can go a couple of days or maybe even one day without actually thinking about the act. So I know a lot of people say a day is not much, but if it was extremely hurtful, a day is a lot, right? That's a lot of progress to me, right? And then number two is when this person is mentioned by name, you are not triggered in a negative way. So if this person has hurt you and they've said, and somebody says their name in passing, or you're not triggered in a negative way, like it should just flow as like a normal conversation, and there's no triggers. And actually, now that I think about it, there really is a third that I've noticed, and that's if you are able to be in the same presence as this person and not hold grudges or try to take them down or snap at everything they say, or notice basically any the more positive behavior in the presence of the other person are more signs that forgiveness has actually happened. And it's kind of obvious, right? Like if you're snapping at somebody, you'll know, right? You'll kind of, and if you're like me, or you're empathic, you know that it actually hurts to have a little bit of hate in your heart, and you will know, right? Your intuition will tell you, your body will tell you, the way that you're behaving is not an action of love, is not reality. So, that could be a sign. So I just want to close this with talking about forgiveness. Really makes me very happy because, and I hope it makes you guys happy. And if it's triggering you, maybe there's someone in your life who you haven't forgiven yet. Sorry, my bad. And it's really triggering you, or I don't want this live to make you feel pressured. Like I said, everybody does things on their own time. I've taken about 4 to 5 years to heal from one particular situation, so I get it. It's not a quick process. It's not a quick fix, and it's actually it's not made to be a quick process, right? You know, when people are very frustrated in their lives about not being able to forgive someone, like, I just want to forgive someone, I just want to forgive somebody, this is where self-compassion comes into play. All this means is that you have a lot of feelings, right? And that's okay. It's okay to have a lot of feelings, and they've all been hurt, and you have so many emotions, and that is okay. So you have to try to, you know, kind of remember that when you're stuck in a place of, I wish I could, you know, I hate myself because I don't, you know, that type of thing. So really just be a little bit easier on yourself today. Just, you know, work in the timeline that feels best for you, right? And I also want to say, closing this up, guys, you are so amazing for forgiving somebody. Like, do you understand that power that you have? We all have that power to create this life of emotional freedom where we can forgive somebody that wronged us, and not only forgive them, love them too. And we are incredible beings because of that. You are incredible if you can do that. And what they say is, and which is true, is that anything that goes from a negative to a positive, anything that goes from fear, because forgiveness is a place of negativity. Unforgiveness is a place of, on the negative, which it is fear-based, and forgiveness is, positive and love-based. So anytime we go from a fear-based activity, or feeling or thought to a, love-based feeling or thought, behavior, whatever it is a miracle. Let me tell you, if you don't think miracles exist, this is a miracle right here. Anytime you ever truly forgive somebody, that is a miracle. And don't you forget it, because you are so powerful, you can make miracles. Think about that, guys. It's amazing. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. It is a topic I love talking about. Maybe I can kind of do a live about my rituals if that have helped me in the past 4 or 5 years, kind of move through a situation that happened to me. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. That would be really cool if you guys are open to it. It's a lot of spiritual rituals, and you know, when people hear rituals, they get a little turned off, but rituals could be brushing your teeth every day, right? Like, that's not that out there. I hope people do that. So, okay, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Please share if this resonated with you. I'm dropping my Calendly link in the comments. If you want to schedule some time with me, let's chat. Maybe we can work together, see if we're a good fit. Totally cool. Hopefully you guys will catch my live tomorrow, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye.